Hello there, I've decided to make a video on the Eagle RRV due to there's not a lot of good content out there about it right now. I'm going to discuss my current setup of the chest rig, then the features of it, my opinions on it, improvements, and then a price guide and general information you'd want to know. This video is going to be talking about the V1 as well as the V2 variant. So I'm going to start off with my setup first. I have a tier GP on my left right here. This one is holding a Invisio cable because I run the Invisio system right now. This one is the one with the little battery because you're not able to run your Invisio stuff unless you have your radio. So this allows you to run it with just a battery. It's pretty nice. I have a little NAR IFAC right here. It's really simple. It just has a TQ in here and some combat gauze. It's not like an IFAC, it's more like a blowout kit. And then here I have my BFG admin right now. This is right above a Axel Invisio kit. One of their little stick-out kits, and I'll explain why in a minute why I prefer this over the mounting it here. So, and here I just got a multi-tool and a dead rag because airsoft. I got 3 mads here. This is generally what I prefer, especially on chest rigs. Right here I have a tier GP, and I'll explain how you're able to run mads and a GP on this. I have a this is like an Allied Industries radio pouch right here. There's nothing unique. I was gonna buy a tier one, but due to time constraints on this video, I decided I just run this Ranger Green one I have. This is connected to my 148, and then I have 2 sword frag pouches right here. This is honestly really great. I really like this a lot. If you've ever tried running frag pouches before, you'll have issues with how they sit. This is 2 connected together, so that's pretty nice. And then on my side, I have this little water bottle pouch from Arbor Arms. I don't really know what to do with this right here. I did have some other things I was going to put here, but I ended up going against it. Let me find those items. Alright, so those 2 items I was talking about, I have this Arbor Arms little TQ pouch right here. I was going to have it here, but I didn't really like my TQ being this far back, so I ditched it. And then I have this Eagle 40mm pouch right here. Ended up not liking it being there either, so I went ahead and I ditched that as well. The only thing that is really left on this chest rig to discuss setup wise are these Velcros right here, which are a recent addition for this Arbor Arms pack right here that I got. This is I think the Minuteman or Tradesman Assault pack. It's pretty nice. I run it here as well as on the sides. So just thought I'd put that out there. So I've gone ahead and stripped this down real quick to mention a few things. If you have an Eagle admin pouch right here, you'll notice that it's a little tall on this, and you can't really run mag pouches like I was running, for example, like these. I was running them up here. But I have a simple little fix for that you basically just take this Velcro flap that I'll talk about later in the video, and you just kind of stick that mat pad in there after you've mollied it on, and you still have access to that top row of molly without having to sacrifice, your admin space or anything like that. And another thing I mentioned earlier on why I run the Axel kit right here instead of running it on the shoulders here is because how they're designed, the molly's too wide as well as too unevenly spaced for Invisio PTTs, for example, to fit on it properly. Get this on here real quick. As you can see, it moves up and down, side to side. Not something I really want in a PTT. Of course, you can just mount it on here. That's a different story, though, obviously. And then for my Peltor ones, as you can see, kind of the same issue. So I thought I'd put that out there. If you have these PTTs, it may be worth picking up this Axel kit. I know this is mostly used on plate carriers, but works just fine on chest rigs with JTAC adapters, bibs, admin panels, whatever you want to call it. Something I also want to quickly talk about are these modifications I've done to the chest rig. Right here, I have taken some 550 cord. Let me adjust my camera real quick for you. Taking some 550 cord and cross section it through here and tuck in the excess in the Velcro flap. This is mainly because of how my frame is. This is kind of trying to prevent all this shifting and movement, because with the other variant right here, this one that does not have this modification on it. See all this give and stuff like that. I don't really want to. I have a small frame kind of torso. And then one more thing here for the bib, I went ahead and I just taped it down because I'm trying to prevent excess strap from this going forward. So I thought I'd just mention those real quick. If you have those, it might be something you want to do. After this part, I'm going to start talking about the chest rigs themselves. Alright, so I've gone ahead and stripped this down. This chest rig is 16 MOLLE wide with 2 on the sides, 2 tall, 3 tall, and then in the center area it is 4 tall, which I can see why they do this, because when these things were issued, they issued like a bunch of pouches. You would have these Eagle admin pouches here, and they're a little bit tall, but of course I've already talked about how to fit those. So pretty good amount of MOLLE. I like that. Of course, if you don't need it, you don't have to use it, which is why I was talking about with here. I was probably not going to don't have the water bottle pouch here. There's also a bib right here. This is about 4 MOLLE wide, 3 MOLLE tall. It's pretty good. Basically just generic admin / bibs. You've looked at those JTAG adapters that Atzel is currently selling. It's basically the same thing. It's something that comes with the chest rig, which is so awesome. You can tuck this too, which I'll talk about in a second. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the shoulder straps now. So you have this rows of MOLLE here, but as I've talked about previously, this isn't really that useful. Then you have these rows of MOLLE here, which I'm going to go ahead and flip over the chest rig and talk about the back of it real quick. So with these here, these are meant for a H harness configuration. There's like this strap that you would essentially MOLLE on. I just run in the ETS configuration. It's honestly really comfortable. I'm usually not a fan of ETS configurations on harnesses, but this has been great. It's really nice. It's just some simple foam padding. Honestly, not really much to write home about for that, I'll admit. And then we come to the plate pad part of this. Alright, so it's multi-fit, can fit multiple plate pad sides obviously. That's why it has this stretch and this mesh here for some reason. Then it has this like elastic. I don't know if this is to hold plates or hold smaller plates, for example. I've never used it, but then again, I don't really run plates in this right now, so I don't really know exactly how that would feel. But this elastic that sits here, you can probably stuff the top of a plate in it, or for smaller plates, definitely you probably want to use it, because this is again, elastic can only hold so much. I have this bat strap here. This is what came with the chest rig. I don't really have the original one that it came with, but this works fine for now. It still has stretch when needed. I'm probably going to buy a Spiritus one or something. There's not really much else to talk about the chest rig other than it has a lot of MOLLE. It's pretty solid chest rig, pretty simple design. That's probably why a lot of companies copied it. So this is just the V1. As you'll note, because it has smaller buckles. That's always one of the biggest indicators. Alright, so I have the V2 here right now. So one thing you're going to notice is that the buckle was bigger. For some reason between the V1s and V2s, they would switch to these bigger buckles. You'll notice it'll be like their frag pouches specifically. You'll notice this difference. Another thing here is that there is more MOLLE. So maybe they're getting complaints about the only 2 rows here, so they added this extra row of MOLLE. But if you don't want to use it, good news for you. You can just flip it over and buckle it up. So that's pretty neat, but for some reason it is off center. I don't know how you'd mess it up. I've had 2 of these and both of them were off center, so something weird, I guess. And you notice the flap is not here, and it's because I tucked it in. So basically all you just do is you just unbutton it here, these little guys right here, and I just tucked it back here in the little plate pocket area. And one more thing I'd like to mention about this is that this has a little pocket in here. Yay! With the V1 doesn't have this. The V2 and V1 both have this pocket as well, by the way, with this little elastic loop in here. I'm not really sure what this is for. You can probably put papers, information, stuff in there, or anything you need to. So it extends through the entirety of the chest rig as well. So you can keep that in mind there for stuff you want to put in here. Alrighty, so for improvements, I think some radio pockets would be nice, right about here. It will, free up more space on the front for other gear that I could run. Even if they weren't used for radio pouches, it's still good to have them there. I've seen people run IFATs in them, like on the Eagle MPCR, which is another Eagle chest rig. I've seen people run IFATs in there instead of radios to free up space on there. Honestly, nothing else could really be done to change this chest rig, other than just material changes and updates like laser cut and mesh, for example. Which, if you looked at a Eagle SHOT Show video for 2023, they actually do the exact things I just mentioned. They have made it laser cut, they have mesh on the shoulders, There's just general improvements. The admin pocket is different in how it attaches. It's not attached against this. It attaches, it like mollies into the shoulder straps, which is pretty neat. And the only thing I'm not really a big fan of it though, which I'll show on stream, is the plate pocket design. I don't really like that little like Y harness kind of thing. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it, but I'm sure they have a reason why they're doing it that way. But this is all information for the most part. There's not really much else you could do to this chest rig. We're going to go ahead and move on to my opinions on chest rig, as well as more general opinions about chest rigs in general. So this is the opinion portion of the video. You can skip this if you don't really care to hear and move straight to the price guide portion. So I see a lot of people buying modular chest rigs, like for example, buying the shoulder straps individually, buying a Spiritus Mark IV or Mark V and a Thing 2, or the new Thing 4 that they showed at SHOT Show 2024, or like a Pharaoh Chesty, for example, Unobtainium gear, all those kinds of chest rigs. And people are buying those setups just to essentially do the same job as this. And I think a lot of people should look at these older chest rigs, for example, and even ones that are still currently being sold, which I'll talk about in a moment. And instead of spending all that money investing into that system, they should just invest into these. You're still investing into a system, like Molly, for example. Like Molly is a system, and when you buy Molly pouches, you invest into that, right? But something I like to point out is when you change setups or you buy a plate carrier, for example, you can just take all these pouches off and just move it to your plate carrier. Like you could do the same thing, for example, like you could take a Thing 2 and a Mark IV and mount that onto a carrier, but I feel like you're just trying to move your system and make it accommodate for something else. I understand that people run it this way and that's designed for it, but I feel like it's going to, in most cases, fail in comparison to just buying Molly pouches and setting your stuff up. One thing I do want to say though, if you're only going to run 3 mag pouches or run something super simple like the micro chest rig, don't go and buy one of these, gobble these up and put 3 mags on it, because that's obviously a waste, right? But if you're going to run, pouches, IFAC, radio, stuff like that, maybe look into these, I understand that these are no longer being sold retail, which I'll mention in a moment. Options you can buy, good alternatives too, that are currently being sold. I don't know, just trying to keep a good eye out on what you run and like what gear currently exists out there, instead of just looking at the latest companies and the latest thing. That's pretty much it. Just be more considerate when purchasing gear. Look more into it. Research more. That's essentially what I'm telling you. Don't go on r/tactical gear, scroll for 5 posts and see, oh, Spiritus rig, Spiritus rig. Just thought I'd put that out there. To end this video, this is honestly a good chest rig, and there's a reason why so many companies have copied it. For those who are wondering about buying one, I honestly wouldn't pay over $200 for a used one in multicam. I wouldn't pay over $150 for a RLCS one, and I wouldn't pay over like $120 for an khaki/tan one, or the coyote brown ones. Those are in abundance, especially when I was in Jacksonville. There were so many of those being sold. But if you don't want to go through the process of buying used, I have a few examples or recommendations you can buy new. So for a multicam one, you can buy from LarkTac. They sell a reproduction of this in the V2 variant, not the V1, for about $235. They say they offer other colors or models on there, so you probably have to message them and ask them about that. But another option would be the sword chest rig, for example. That is currently being sold for about $126, but I don't know if that's in AUD or USD. So it might be USD because I'm looking at it from a US IP, but that's another chest rig to consider. That's probably the least preferred of the options. I don't like how their shoulder straps are designed or how wide the molly panel is. And for the final option is from Direct Action Gear, a European company. They sell it for about about $140. Yeah, you can get it in multiple colors, even Pencott if you care about that camo. It's laser cut, has mesh. It's basically kind of a modernized version of this. It has no general improvements, just material changes. So if you're looking for something that's lighter, or has mesh, breathability, all that kind of stuff, that's something to consider. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you've gained some knowledge and know more about this chest rig. I plan on making more content in the future. I have a lot of gear in my possession currently, but if you have anything you would like to see, want me to talk about, or make a review on anything from like plate gears, the pouches, or chest rids even, just make sure to put it down in the comments below. If you have anything you'd like to say about this, or really anything you'd like to say, feel free to talk about it in the comments, of course, civilly. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you've gained something and you have a wonderful day.